So this morning there was this one specific thing I was quite frightened of. So I thought I'd start the day meditating, just trying to understand and internalize that if something does happen, I can deal with it in the moment, and that I have to trust myself to deal with it in the moment and consequently stop overthinking. And also I was a bit worried about my dissertation because, you know, like the deadline's coming up and I was thinking like, oh, it's gonna be terrible. But I was trying to quiet my mind because I was thinking like, if I think like that, it will be like that. Anyway, I came into uni.
Why do I look like a
No, you look alright.
I look like a dad from the 50s or something.
I went into the library and I worked on that dissertation. My dissertation is on black holes, and I've spent the last few days going over the content for Hawking radiation so that I could write it up. So I want to explain it because it's really interesting. When you're dealing with black holes and you're looking at Hawking radiation, so you're looking at particles tunneling through the event horizon. To describe a black hole, you have something called a black hole metric, and it's this equation. I'll put it up there. Basically, when you're dealing with Hawking radiation, what we're looking is that the particle is tunneling from inside the event horizon to outside the event horizon. So obviously, because you're dealing with something that happens at the event horizon, you need a metric which is non-zero at the event horizon. You know, like for instance, like a ruler starts at 0. You need the ruler not to start at 0 because all your calculations are at 0. So I'm rewriting the metric from a standard Schwarzschild metric to something that's called a pan-leave metric. I think I'm actually really enjoying it. There's a big part of the dissertation that requires me to go over my space-time and gravity lecture notes, which is from first semester that we done, and that was like my favorite topic. So it's nice that I kind of get to like revisit that, and these are the kind of reasons why I started doing physics in the first place. So it is pretty awesome. Okay, then after that I have an appointment with Ariane today. Hello, stranger.
Hello.
Thank you for waiting for me. I actually saw you from up there. I got a video of you.
Alright, great. If I want to get to like 10,000 words,
okay.
I want to try and do about 500 words per day. If you're ever in Hertfordshire, right? There's a chain of bakeries called Simmons. I've told Jericho about it before, but if you're ever there, just go there. They've got great desserts, they've got great bread. It's like Greg's, but what if Greg's? I could go for wasabi, which is also in King's Cross. I'm going through King's Cross.
Wasabi could be nice.
Wasabi could be nice, but like, maybe I could try something different from wasabi. Because I usually get like a, I usually get like a bento sort of thing. So like with rice.
Oh, why don't you get the hot food?
That is hot food.
The bento?
I think
no, the bento is like from the refrigerator, no? Is it? I think so.
Maybe I'm just crazy. Basically, I usually...
Yeah, oh, sorry, that is the hot stuff. I was thinking of like a sushi box.
Yeah.
Because what was I talking about?
White Nights.
Okay, but
and like how
it
it wasn't really love.
Yeah, like, I just get the book, and the book gets me.
Yeah.
It's not love in its highest form. It's love in one of its...
more seedy forms, kind of.
What's subordinate forms? It's love in its more subordinate forms.
Right.
Is that a Red Bull truck?
Fucking Red Bull Mini Coopers here, man.
I don't think Eddie Abu will be happy. Basically, our uni has this thing where sometimes they put like some like fun activities out. So sometimes they have like a bouncy castle. This time they had like not a tennis, badminton thing. And then I was like to Ariane, we're sitting down here just talking. Like, why didn't we just do that? Yeah. So afterwards, I was like, okay, well, we have to do something. One more.
You done?
Wait.
Okay, one
One more. Last one. Hey!
Okay, let's see. Okay, not bad. I don't have much storage, so... I see what you mean about the belt. After saying goodbye to Ariane, today's a Wednesday, so I headed into boxing from 3 to 5. When I got into the boxing gym, it was interesting because they're doing up the boxing place. So they're like you know what I'm trying to say, right? They're renovating it. and they had like a new ring, and they had like some weird sponsors on the thing. It was like pie and mash sponsors, but it was nice because like it was all done up, and they had a nice new ring. And the coach actually said to us, because we're trying to keep it new, you have to either have boxing trainers, which you can't take outside, or just like you got to do it in your socks. So it was nice, and they're just doing it up. And you know, it's quite cool because like West Ham boxing is kind of like this like gritty kind of place, so it's so, which is kind of cool. And then like they're kind of renovating it, which is nice, so it still has that kind of gritty character, but they're doing it up.
Well guys, this is me before sparring Jericho. You'll see me after.
Okay.
He's got a good jab, he's got a good right hand.
Thank you, man.
He's getting together.
This guy's a gentleman when he's sparring. Anyway, I'm going to play the clips for boxing, and the rest of the day after boxing, I went to dinner with Arash, this place near our uni. It was really good. So as I share the clips for the rest of the day, there is something I do want to mention. There is something I want to share with you, but you have to promise me, if you're with me here now, you watch till the end of the video and you listen to everything I have to say, because there's a lot and it all flows in nicely with each other, and they're all interconnected, right? So I am a bit of a people pleaser, and it's a really hard pill for me to swallow and kind of like accept. They say that every bad characteristic you hate about yourself was once the perfect survival strategy. And I've noticed what I do sometimes is like I exalt excessively the bare minimum actions of people. I very fervently and ardently thank them and show gratitude, but it's something so minor, and I unhealthily put someone else's needs so high above my own. And a lot of these things, they invite people to disrespect me a little bit, take a little bit of advantage of me, not like in the big ways, like in the minor ways. And there was two incidences today, right? There was these two guys who came up to me, and when I saw them coming up to me, I thought, this is very strange. I had a gut feeling. I was like, because I know that these guys, they don't normally come up to me. They don't come out of their way to come and see me. So they came out their way to see me, and I was like, okay, this is strange, but I'm gonna accept this kind gesture. So it's like I had a gut feeling, but my mind convinced me, okay, like, you know, whatever, just made excuses. Okay, maybe today they just want to be nice or something or whatever. And it's so funny, just as my mind convinced me, lo and behold, they needed something. They were only coming there, they were only coming up to me, they were only saying like, oh, how are you doing? They were only doing it because they wanted something from me. And it's interesting because I need to trust my gut. I need to trust what my gut tells me and not what my head tells me. You know, I need to trust people's behaviors and people's patterns as opposed to what they say and do. How can I believe what you say when I see what you do? But the thing is, that comes at a cost, because if I do listen to that gut feeling, it means that I have to pull back a little. It means that I have to be a little bit more reserved. I need to reciprocate energy, and sometimes it's a matter of, if I don't text first, are we going to talk at all? And it's like, maybe not, which is fine. But then, like, you know, maybe that's all you have, and it feels like I'm losing people, and it feels like suddenly when I pull back, there's nothing there, and I feel that I'm isolating myself. I'm isolating myself, and it's hard because it's like you're losing people left, right, and center. And it's hard as well because I get excited over people. I like going up to people. I like smiling and being silly and making like silly jokes. And you know, I like to share. I like to see like familiar faces and whatnot. But it's hard that you kind of have to like restrain yourself, and you have to be a little bit more reserved, and you have to match people's energies. But that means that with a lot of people, there's not going to be much left, and it's a hard reality to accept, because then you realize that, okay, like a lot of people you're now becoming distant with, and it's like maybe a lot of your friendships were kind of like built on that. Maybe a lot of your friendships were built on you people pleasing, on you being excessively, maybe a lot of it was one-sided, and it is a bit scary to kind of like accept that truth. But the thing is, in my gut, I kind of like knew, and I kind of could predict certain things that were going to happen. So there's this phenomenon across so many different friendship groups, and people are coming to me and they're saying like, okay, like you've been getting a bit distant. And it's like, no, I haven't been getting distant. I've just been matching your energy. I just haven't been so overly available to you and easily accessible to you. And I'm not just there whenever you want me, and when you don't want me, I'm not just easily dismissible. And I'm a lot harder to manipulate now, and I see things, and I'm having boundaries, and I'm enforcing those boundaries, and I am reciprocating the energy. And it's strange because when people say things like, you've been getting distant, like that, you know, like there was a few apologies about certain things, the incentive to go back is so strong, because it's like you're finally being seen, you're finally being valued. Like, okay, like people, like, okay, they see, you know, like the words sound nice, and it's like you finally get seen, you finally get appreciated. But then if your absence caused that to happen, if your absence finally got that, if your absence finally got energy which you needed, then what does that say about your presence? And if you felt seen over that, then what does it say about the dynamic of the friendship? And the thing with people pleasing is that you tend to put other people's needs so high above your own. So you tend to start thinking like, okay, maybe they're tired, maybe they're busy, maybe they forgot about you, maybe they didn't mean what they say. But I don't want to be able to make excuses for people. I don't want to be confused about people. I don't want to have to defend their actions. And also, I also have to trust my gut. Just like with those people, like what they were saying was nice, but their intentions were not, and you had that gut feeling. I have to try and trust my gut feeling a little bit. Sometimes okay, maybe they're busy, maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they're like this, maybe they're like that. But here's the thing as well, I'm busy, I'm having a bad day. Like every single one of those things, excuses, like you can make for me, and I never do. In some ways, my vlogs are a perfect analogy for me. I thought that if I make the vlogs funny, if I make them more popular, if they gain more traction, if they gain more attention, if I'm better with the editing, if I build them up in certain ways, it will be more of an incentive for people to watch them and for people to care about them. But here's the thing, I kind of know now that if at this point, if someone isn't interested, then I don't think they're ever going to be interested. Even it doesn't matter 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. And in some sense, I see myself in the same way. If I finally, just for example, learn how to box, if I finally get YouTube, if I get in shape, if I have all these things going for me, it's going to be as an incentive for certain people to kind of like see me and appreciate me and, just reciprocate my energy a little bit more. I kind of see it as like, if I gain all of those things, I won't have to necessarily chase them or beg them or make excuses for them. And what I'm doing is I'm going out into the world, and to put yourself out there, you make yourself vulnerable. And what I'm doing is I'm saying like, okay, you can attack me, you can do whatever you want, but it doesn't matter, because like I have all these things going for me, like just for example, like I'm in shape, like I have the YouTube video, like I have all these things going for me. So it doesn't matter if you hurt me, but that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is not have a shield, but have a sword, and kind of say like, okay, if you treat me like this, I'm not going to accept it, and accept good things and accept good relationships, and the people who are reciprocating, you're going to nurture and you're going to grow that, and the people who aren't, you're going to kind of like, keep them at bay. Maybe you don't need more time to heal, maybe you just need different experiences that show your nervous system a different reality. And I've been fortunate enough to have a small little taste of that, and I've seen that, like with certain people, like I don't have to make excuses for, like I feel seen. Like for instance, one time I was in the changing room with Kushwin, and Kushwin said to me, and he said, he referenced one of my videos, and I was so shocked. I was like, oh wait, you watch my videos? And he was like, yeah man, of course I watch your videos. And it hit me then like, if it's good enough for Kushwin, it's good enough for you. But what I'm trying to say is I've seen scenarios where I don't have to go to extraordinary lengths to be seen or heard or appreciated. A person is loved because they are loved. It needs no reason. That's actually not the quote. The quote originally was, don't say anything. One is loved because one is loved. There needs no reason. And it is, I didn't come to teach you. I came to love you, and love will teach you. And that's a good representation of like certain things that I've seen from people. I've seen that like for them to take an interest in you, for them to reciprocate you, for them to be proud of you, for you to not feel certain ways about people, it doesn't require much. That's the bare minimum. That's the bare basic. And like I said, it's scary, because if that's all you've ever known, like, are you so certain you're going to find better? Like, you're going to find better, that what you're changing it for isn't just going to be the same? But there's a difference, and this time is that I'll know what I'm looking for. I'll know what to accept. And when someone isn't being like the best, then I'll put those boundaries up. If they cross those boundaries, then I'll know what to do. I always used to get scared about this imaginary scenario. So I'd always imagine like a girl, and like she kind of like sees me like just, I don't know, just walking by myself or sitting by myself. And I always used to think that she would think that, like, she would have these thoughts of like, why is he alone? What's wrong with him? Why is he all by himself? Where are his friends? Like, he's such a weirdo. But I've come to realize that that is not what someone has said to me. That is merely my own internal beliefs, and I'm projecting it on someone else. And here's the thing, the reason why I have those internal beliefs is because if you are a people pleaser and that was your survival strategy, then when you're not people pleasing, you feel like you're failing, and you feel like there's something wrong with you. You feel like there's something inherently wrong with you. For example, like with my YouTube channel, obviously I'm working on it. I'm proud of it. It's something I've achieved for myself. So I'm very happy to talk about it. So when I'm around certain people and when they don't ask about it, when they don't acknowledge it even, and when I bring it up, they're very dismissive over it. For instance, right, there's that part of you that kind of like feels a little bit invisible. You're not asking them to, like, you know, watch every single video, but to at least acknowledge that, because when they do that, there's a part of you that feels invisible. And the thing is, with people pleasing, what you tend to do is you kind of tend to think that, like, you think that it's a problem with you. You think that there's something fundamentally wrong with you because you can't people please that person, because you feel kind of like bad about that. And I always thought that, like, oh, I'm being too much, I'm being too needy, I'm asking too much for them, they're probably having a bad day, they don't want to talk about this. And you know, I kind of thought it was like that joke, and this is important, I kind of thought it was like that joke, you know, when it's like, just say for example, when bro starts going to the gym, the type of stuff bro starts sending you, and it's like all these like gym edits and whatnot. And I thought about it and I was like, here's the thing, I was never like that. I was never too in your face. I was never too excessive. I was never too over the top about anything. I know that people have different inclinements. I know that people, there's things people want to talk about. People have interests and people have things that they're not so interested in. And there are subjects that make people feel comfortable and there are subjects that make people feel uncomfortable. And I've always known that, and I've realized that I'm not asking for much. I'm not asking for anything crazy. I'm just asking for the bare minimum. And if people can't give me a reasonable amount of energy, attention, then I'm going to have to maybe take a little bit of a step back from them. And I realized that you don't need to go to extraordinary lengths just to be seen, heard, or appreciated. I understand now that there was never actually anything wrong with me, because that's the thing, I feel like there's something wrong with me, so I feel I have to compensate it with certain things so that, you know, I get, like, say for example, reciprocated energy back from people. But I see now that that was never the issue. A person is loved because they are loved, and there needs no reason. So in the book it sounded so much more romantic, but you know what I'm trying to say, like, you don't need that. And the friendships that the small taste of friendships that I've had, I've realized that. And I've realized that, like, with these people, like, you don't have to make an effort. They don't care that you're a YouTuber or whatever. They just appreciate you because they appreciate you, and they want to hear from you because, you know, they want to hear from you. And if someone isn't, like, you know, just giving you those basic things, then, you know, it's time to let them go. It's time to stop people pleasing, and it's time to let them go, and it's time to have those boundaries. And when those people kind of, like, say, like, come back on those boundaries, then that's when you need to walk away, maybe, or not even walk away, because, you know, I still care about people, but I need to take a step back, and I do need to enforce those boundaries. And it's much better because then I understand that, like, I'm alone. But it's better to be alone than with people who make you feel alone, who make you feel invisible. And it's better because this time I'm alone, but I understand that I'm not alone because there's anything wrong with me. I'm not alone because something I done and it made people want to disperse from me. I'm alone, it's just this short period of time. And I understand that there's nothing wrong with me. And what I'm asking for isn't much. When we remove what isn't meant for us, then we make space for what is meant for us. And I do think that the people I'm looking for is on the other side of people pleasing. And I think once I can get this out of the way, I do think I can start attracting people. When we believe in something, we make it true. And here's the other thing. I'm not socially anxious anymore. One of the reasons I think why I was socially anxious, it's not really socially anxious, it's just good old fashioned trauma. When you devalue relationships from people who are inconsistent and emotionally unavailable, then you don't get excited about a similar relationship appearing from similar grounds. Because with a stranger is inconsistent and emotionally unavailable. So you don't get excited or worried about the possibility or you messing it up with someone, because if a bond was to occur, then you will know it. You will know it. It's not something you have to make excuses for or defend, or whose actions you have to justify. You will know it and you will feel it. And if it isn't like that, then you have to understand that that isn't a friend. That's okay. If you don't know it, then it isn't something. Then you're not anxious anymore, because your nervous system doesn't need popularity. It needs like safety. It needs like protection. And you know, when you have friends who see you, you get those feelings. It's good because, you know, I think for the first time, I'm not ashamed anymore, in the sense that like there was nothing wrong with me. And it makes you less socially anxious, because the more we understand about ourselves, the more okay we are to be misunderstood by people. You know, I'll know what to look for. I'll know what to accept. I'll stop people pleasing. I'll stop chasing and begging. And what the things that are good, I'll reciprocate and I'll foster them. And the things that aren't reciprocated, I'll let them go. Because here's the thing, as I want to tell you this quick story. So one time I was with two people, and one thing I struggle is, I really struggle when someone is saying something that is just like incorrect. I really struggle to say like, no, you're wrong. Like, you know, when someone is saying it with such audacity, I find it so hard to say like, no, you're just wrong, like to their face. No, I'm not trying to be disagreeable or anything, but I really struggle to say that. So one time there was friend X, and they were saying that like, they were just complaining about their job, which is fine, but like it was such a petty thing. It was such a trivial inconvenience. They were just giving it all the like yibba yabba. Like, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but like they were just complaining so much about it, and it was very trivial. Trust me on that. And I'm there, and I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm kind of like, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe. I'm like, okay, well, maybe they could have done that. And then literally person Y literally sits there and says, or you could just do your job. And here's the thing, and if that person still favors that person over me in some regards, it sounds like a jealous love thing, but it's really not. It honestly isn't. I just don't want to give away the details. There's so many things I've noticed where someone has acted in a way that is very reprehensible, but that person is still friends with them. That person is still with them. They don't abandon them. And one thing I've noticed, which links back to the first couple of points, is that the people who have boundaries and the people who choose not to accept disrespect, and the people who get along with people, are not the people who have lots of things. Like, they aren't the best fighters, they aren't the smartest people. It isn't, they don't have these qualities. They do things that are silly and reprehensible, and you see that, and you still see them. They still get along with people. They still have boundaries. It's not about this guy is bigger than this guy. I've seen big guys and like people like disrespect them, but like I've seen other guys who aren't that big and like they're really good. Like when someone like steps out of line, they can't, not like in a physical sense, like they're intimidating, but they don't tolerate it in the sense that like they just say like, no, you can't do that. And if they don't, then they just go away. It's not about being, I'm not saying it's not important, but it's not about being in shape or being physically fit or being able to fight. Like, these things don't necessarily give you boundaries. I'm not saying they're not good, but they don't give you boundaries, and I've observed that. And it goes back to this idea that like, you don't need these things to accept positive love and reciprocality and good energy from people. You don't need these things. You don't need qualifications to be loved. You need boundaries, and that's, yeah, you need boundaries. And this time it's different because I know what I'm looking for. I know that like these things exist. Love is steady and love is not intense, and a person is loved because they are loved, and there is no reason needed for loving. And you don't need more time, you just need people to show you a different experiences. And I'm just gonna, I'm excited because I feel like now that I know what I'm looking for, and I know that there isn't something wrong with me, so I'm very excited. And this video was going to be called When Growth Feels Like Pain, because it is a bit painful losing people you've invested time in, losing people you've invested energy in. And it's so hard to accept that maybe a lot of the people that you've been around, maybe a lot of those relationships were built on, people pleasing, were built on you acting a certain way, having to be small, you having to do certain things that weren't aligned with, what you wanted to do. I'm excited to see where this takes me, because my entire life, I've always attracted the same sort of people. I've always gotten myself into the same sorts of situations. And it's like, finally, I'm getting something for myself. I'm kind of like doing all these things, and I kind of see that like, even now with all those things, it doesn't buy you these things from certain people. If there is a deficiency in the way someone treats you, it says more about them than it does about you. And it was never about you buying their love. It was about you choosing to accept love that was more positive, and you to actually realize what is love and what isn't. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it. So thank you for watching.